And this is Jeff Koinange Live. Tonight, if it's Thursday, you know it is all about inspiration. Ordinary Kenyans doing extraordinary things. And if you watched or attended the Transform Kenya Awards last weekend, hosted by KTN, of course, you would have seen a whole plethora, a whole group of Kenyans, ordinary Kenyans, doing extraordinary things, just like my guest. She didn't win any awards on that night, but if you ask anyone in Maralal in Samburu County, they will tell you she is a winner. She's been doing this for the last quarter century. In fact, she was the very first woman in Samburu to go to university. She got a degree, started working, but decided she needs to go back and help her people. And she's been doing that with an NGO out there and a group of women friends, and they're educating a whole new generation of Kenyans. They said no child should be left behind, boy or girl. And one of the things they preach against out there, you guessed it, female genital mutilation. Why? Because she herself underwent FGM. Listen up. This is a show you want to watch. My Twitter handle is @Koinange Jeff. The hashtag is JKL. And my guest is Sophia Lepuchirit. Sophia, good to see you.
Thank you. Very good.
Looking wonderful.
Thank you.
Looking really, really traditional.
Thank you, Jeff.
So, take me back.
Yes.
You said you went to Catholic school.
Yes.
There's a Catholic priest who insisted on educating you.
Yes. I was taken to school like many other Samburus during that time by a Catholic priest called Father Peter Talone, because our parents could not accept us to go to school. So through the years, the priest and the Catholic Church mentored us and made sure that we went to school. But of course, when I went to school, we were about 18 or 12 for Samburu girls. But by the time we were finishing Form 4, we were only four.
What happened to the rest?
The rest dropped out. They got married. And of course, when you go through FGM, you get married immediately the moment you undergo the FGM, because they will not allow you to stay unmarried when you've become more than 10 years or 15 years. So all the rest dropped out. But luckily for me, I struggled until I went to Form 4, and I was the first to finish with a high class division. And I went to Form 5 and 6. But when I went to Form 5 and 6, courtesy of the DC at that time, John Etemesi, he took me to Butere Girls High School, where he helped pay my school fees for the 2 years I was there.
In A-level?
In A-level.
And then you got accepted to university?
Then I went, of course, I had 3 principals, 1 subsidiary, and I went to the University of Nairobi.
And your father, all this time, I mean,
Yes.
his daughter, she's undergone FGM,
Yes.
she needs to get married,
Yes.
and now she's going to university. What did he say?
No, my father was supportive later in life, although his relatives were against it, because they kept on saying, how can a girl continue going to school for so many years? And, I'm supposed to fetch 9 cows. When you go through FGM, Jeff, you are supposed to be married, and they give the family only 9 cows.
9?
9, but 1 bull will be slaughtered on the day of the marriage, the day you are getting married. So it's just 8 or 7.
Tell me something.
Yes.
and I hate to laugh at this because it's a very serious subject.
Yeah.
How old were you when you underwent FGM?
Yes, I underwent FGM after I finished Form 4. I think I was
15, 16?
I was about 15, 16. Jeff, it's so shameful. You know how they do it? They remove you from the hut very early in the morning at 5, and they pour cold water on your head, on your naked body, and then they perform that. Some old woman performs that. So you can imagine when I went
with a blade.
With a blade, of course. Oh, with a blade, and the blade was being used on everybody else. So it was just by grace of God that we did not die.
Correct.
And then they shave off your hair, you become bald completely, like your forehead. So imagine me going to Form 5 with a bald head, and I was very tall and skeleton and slim, and I had no hair. So the students in Butere Girls thought I had lost my relatives or something. And then I could not tell them I underwent FGM. I underwent FGM myself.
Would they laugh at you because you're tall and bold and skinny?
Yes.
And
yeah, I was tall and bold and skinny.
Would they laugh at you?
Yeah, of course. But Luya girls, they were all big and with big legs.
Solid.
Very solid. And here I come from 5. They formalized me. They say, we are not talking happy. And why is she coming to school with a shaven head? They don't know that I had to undergo this barbaric culture.
Barbaric is the word. And the trauma you must have gone through.
Yes, you bleed, you suffer. There's no medicine. It's just by grace of God that I hate FGM from the bottom of my heart. I hate it.
Is this still taking part, Sophia? Is this still happening?
Yes.
In Samburu land?
It is still happening in Samburu. People don't like talking about it, but it's still happening. But it's slowly dying off. Because like me, and the lady you saw, Rebecca Lolosoli, when we were there,
yes,
we did not perform FGM on our daughters, on our children.
None of your children?
No. We can't allow.
But how does society view them?
They don't want to marry them. Of course they can't. The villagers, the ones at the village level, they don't marry them. They don't want to marry uncircumcised girls. So these days, like at Umoja Women site where Rebecca works, we are targeting the men also, the youth. We are telling them, why do you like other tribes, other communities which do not perform FGM? Because your girls are not good. So refuse to marry a girl who has undergone FGM. It's traumatizing and it is barbaric. It's a very bad culture. And I was very shocked when I saw the masses demonstrating, saying they want to circumcise their girls. For what? It doesn't add any value.
Sophia, tell me something. Help me understand.
Yes.
Because like you said, it seems so barbaric.
Yes.
And yet in the 21st century,
yes,
the age of digital, I saw you with an iPad.
Yes.
You are digital.
Yes.
But people where you are still in the Stone Age.
Yeah, I know.
What is it about this practice?
They adore cultural practices, They adore. Jeff, I know you've gone to Loyangalani, like that festival.
Yes.
You saw how the Samburus, the Turkanas, and the Pokots, and what they dance their heads out. Mm-hmm. That's what the youth like. They like to go and dance at night. They don't want to go to school. And up to now, education is still very, very low in our community. And we cannot catch up with. When I went to university, the next girl who went after me went 9 years later. 9 years later. Now, this is the time now, this young generation, they are now going to university and they have seen the value of education. But you can imagine a whole community cannot send a girl to university for 9 good years until the young generation now started going to school.
Good point you raised, Sophia. When you came back from university,
yes,
how did the people view you in Samburu land?
Oh, they like me. They like me so much. They're always saying, Sophie is the first one to go to university. And every Samburu you meet, that's how they introduce me.
But what about the men? Didn't they say,
no, they men did not like me, of course.
Yeah.
I didn't get married to a Samburu because they did not want to marry me. They didn't. The moment you go up to Form 4, they don't like you. It's just this new generation now that are marrying graduates. But during my time, they couldn't. How can they marry me when they have not even gone to Form 4 themselves? And here I am, I've gone to Form 5 and 6. They can't marry. No. I stayed until I met a Taita fellow. That's how I ended up getting a husband. Otherwise, I would have been there with gray hair without a man. They don't want me.
And how many children do you have now?
I have 4 kids. I have 3 boys and 1 girl.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
In fact, my daughter, she called me when I was here. She told me, Mom, you're going to be interviewed by Jeff? That is a great man. Ask him if he's related to the president because he looks like Uhuru. I told her I'm going to ask him.
That's what she asked you?
Yeah. She works for Red Cross. She told me, ask him.
Yes.
Is he related to the president?
Yes.
He looks like the president. I said, I'm going to ask him. I hope he will not feel offended.
I hope the president will not feel offended.
I know. But in my community,
yes,
it doesn't matter because in my community, if you look like him, we are allowed to put that spear in front of the house. So maybe you had met your mother and it's okay. In our culture, it's okay. Yeah, a neighbor is allowed to father the child of another neighbor.
So can I put my spear outside his house?
Of course.
State house?
It's allowed.
State house?
It's allowed in my culture.
Uko kuna reki squad?
Uko yes, but if it was in Samburu,
yes.
No, you can just put his spear and he will come and see your Jeff is there.
Yes.
He will walk to the next household. Like my father has 5 wives.
Yes.
So there's no way he could have fathered all those kids.
Correct.
Because he can't even manage.
Yes.
5 women.
Yes.
He can't manage. So that's how my community is. Yeah.
Sophia, you're such a fun lady. I can't believe this. But coming to your this Umoja, right? It's called Umoja?
Yeah, we have, Jeff, like now, when I finished the university, I went to work with Public Service Commission. Then I worked in Central Bank of Kenya as an assistant superintendent. Then I worked also as, I was in Nairobi a lot of times Then I worked with an NGO, sponsored by United Nations. We formed an NGO at that time in Samburu, which was supporting all these things, peace initiatives. There is war. There is constant cattle rustling, which cannot end in Samburu County, in Turkana, in Pokot.
Still going on.
It's still going on.
Between Samburu, Pokot,
Turkana. And the other, Baringo, and the rest. And you know what, Jeff, I usually tell them in the meetings, just 10,000 or 15,000 cows are rotating between Samburu and Pokot. By the time the Samburus take them, the Pokot come back and take the same cattle, and then they reach the Pokot County, the Turkana the following week take the same cows. So it's just a vicious circle of 10,000 cows.
Yes. Rotating.
Cows rotating, and they have covered millions of kilometers being raided from one village to another.
But maybe it's like a sport. Maybe
no, it's now commercial. These days they raid and then they go and sell the cows. So the cattle rustling cannot end.
No.
Rebecca has been fighting also to educate the boys. There is one boy who cried tears, who is being educated by Rebecca in Archersport. I was there. He cried tears. He says, buy me an AK-47. I want to go wrestling because my father tells me to leave school. Why are you in school? And in our culture, in our place, I remember one time, my father, my stepfather, not my stepfather, my uncle asked me, I've just been told by the teacher, you are always number one. So now what are you wasting? Why are you wasting your time in school? If you are number one, then what are you doing? So come home. Because you finished the school. You are number one.
Yes.
How? And then there was a time he told me, now again I've thought about it. Why are you number one when the other girl of the other home is number 40? That means if it were cows, she had brought more cows home. How can you be number one? You are bringing one cow. This girl is bringing 40 because she's number 40. So what are you doing? You are terrible. You are not good. You are supposed to leave school.
You mean people think like that in the 21st century?
I'm telling you, that's how they were thinking. Why are you number one?
Yes, one cow.
How can you bring one
cow?
And this is why are you in school? You are wasting your time.
Correct.
Yeah, that's how they reason. They don't like it. It's a shocking example.
Oh.
Yeah.
It must have been difficult for you, Sophia.
Yeah, it was very difficult. When I went back to Samburu to work for the United Nations, we went all over to teach them about peace, and then we went and taught them about FGM, and mostly on peace, and then to stop cattle rustling, and to take girls to school, and to stop FGM because it's a barbaric culture, and and beating of girls.
Yeah.
I know you've heard that one.
Beating.
It is true, and the Samburus don't like hearing about it.
Please explain for those viewers who don't know.
Those who don't know it, young girls as young as 10, 8 years are put beads by the Morans. The Moran would sell the cow and then, beat the girl, and then the girl becomes his girlfriend for some time before she's married. And normally even the person who beats her cannot even marry her. So she's married by another different person because normally maybe they even belong to the same clan.
Yes.
It is actually sexual molestation of small girls. It's sexual abuse. And these days we tell them FGM has been outlawed and beating of girls is like rape. Yeah. So we are going to take you to court.
Wanasemaje?
Wanasema hapana. Ukitupeleka kotini tutapiga nyinyi risasi. We'll kill you.
That's what they say.
Yeah. And it's still going on up to now. The only thing which can save them is education. But they have started seeing the value of education. Like when we were in Archersport with Rebecca Losoli, we formed the Umoja Women Group. We helped Mamba youth. And then, now Umoja has a campsite, has girls, it has a primary school.
Hold that thought, Sophia. I want to talk more about Umoja and all the things that you all are doing to change lives. And also, in the whole education thing, it's not just girls, right?
Yes, it's boys.
Boys as well.
Yes.
Especially boys.
The boy child is abused also in our community because of Moranism.
Correct.
The moment he's circumcised, he becomes a Moran and
thinks he's a man.
And thinks he's a man. The Samburu they say a Moran is the same as God. So they spoil their kids. How can a broke, useless little man with no money become the same as God? Then at the end of the day, he has nothing.
Hana kitu.
Then when he comes to the Manyata, people like him so much. The girls sing for him, young women.
Anaweka spear hapo
na huko mfuko hakuna ndururu, ana chilingi.
Sophia Lepuchirit, I tell you folks, you can't make this stuff up. And you can't find guests like Sophia Lepuchirit anywhere else but right here on JKL. And she's one of those Kenyans, one of those ordinary Kenyans doing extraordinary work out there. And what a sense of humor. All the way from Maralal.
Yes.
Good grief. Only right here on JKL. And JKL takes a break. We'll be right back in a moment.
Thank you, Jeff.